Exchange Alumni leaders and mentors, like our guest today, who has a special connection to the show. What is it? Stay tuned to find out. My name is Asha Bay. I'm your host, and I'd like to welcome my colleague, Amelia Shaw, who's joining me as co-host.
Hi, so excited to be here. Woohoo!
Amelia and I are from the Office of Alumni Affairs in the Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs at the U.S. Department of State. Our office opens the door to grant opportunities, a global network of 1.8 million exchange alumni, professional development, and more. Our guest speaker today is Thubelihle Ndlovu, a social entrepreneur, banker, microfinance practitioner, and founder of Person Point. Thube is also an exchange alumni of the U.S. government's Mandela Washington Fellowship program and a coordinator for the Academy for Women Entrepreneurs program in Zimbabwe.
Oh yeah, and I have to break in because I bet that there are probably a lot of Mandela Washington Fellows watching, or awesome Academy for Women Entrepreneurs folks watching. If you are, put something in the comments, post a question, say hello, and tell us where you are. We'd love to know.
Yes. And that goes for all of our exchange alumni. Okay, so now let's welcome Thube to the show.
Wow! Wow! Hi, everyone.
Welcome. So we know you have a special connection to our show. You were in Ghana at an alumni ties seminar for the very first MentorTalks in 2019. Thube, can you tell us more about that Exchange Alumni Seminar and what it led to?
Okay, so that was a life. So there was 40 of us from around African countries, exchange alumni, that were selected to go and converge in Ghana at the Alumni Ties Seminar. And the theme was strengthening business and trade for women entrepreneurs in Africa from June 25 to June 29 in Accra, Ghana. So what happened there was that we met US government officials, experts, leaders, we were networking. There was like an entrepreneurship breakout, if I may put it that way. And one of the highlights of the seminar was that I think MentorTalks was being launched, and there was a speaker. I'll never forget that speaker, Dean Smith. Oh my word, she was so amazing. And one of the things that she spoke about, shiny object syndrome, where she actually encouraged us as entrepreneurs to say, you know what, stick to one thing. Don't be excitable by everything that comes up. Just know what you are meant to do. Know what it is that you want to do as an entrepreneur if you want to have a lot of impact. And when you find that thing that you want to do it with all of your might and all of, everything, your all. And what then happened was that this is when I then developed the idea of Person Point. It was something that I'd already been doing, training women entrepreneurs, doing stuff with them, seeing their businesses grow, running accelerator programs, but I hadn't given a name to it. I hadn't even thought of it. But actually meeting with other entrepreneurs there, brainstorming, and came up with this idea to say, you know what, I was just visualizing a woman's handbag, with everything, all her finances on point, And I was like, you know what, I've got this idea, and I'm going to call it Purse on Point, like your purse, the handbag on point, not just an ordinary purse. And then what we then did was I then met up with two other alumni there in Ghana who became my accountability partners. There was Nomuntu from South Africa, and there was Irene. She's also another Mandela Washington Fellow from Uganda. They became my accountability partners, the idea. And Person Point was born. The first year, 2019, we got funding from the US Department of State. World Learning was the implementer. I will never forget World Learning. They were the implementer for the program. And what then happened was the funding that we got from the US Department of State, we managed to train 120 women in Rwanda, in Uganda, in South Africa, and in Zimbabwe. And what then happened was during that first year, the women there was an outcry from other people to say, can this program go virtual because of the impact that it had produced? So we then went online, we had virtual content, and we trained over 2,500 women online via WhatsApp, via Facebook. And we went on to do cohort 2 again in 2020. And again, the State Department funded us again in 2020. And we then added another country. We added Rwanda because we had an outcry from, the women in Rwanda to say, can Person Point come to Rwanda as well?
Wow.
So in Rwanda, so we've trained women in Rwanda, in Uganda, in South Africa, in Zimbabwe, like Person Point. Then we thought that this is no longer an idea because there were so many spin-off events that were actually also coming from our alumni, and our alumni were making this. Then we thought, okay, this has to be an organization. Then we registered it as an NGO in 2020. It's called Person Point Africa, and the aim is to actually bridge the gap of financial exclusion for women in Africa. And one signature thing about Person Point is that because I'm a banker and I know the agony and the pain of hearing those big banking words, Person Point has zero tolerance to jargon. So we sip our lessons to words that the ordinary African woman or the ordinary woman on the street can understand. We don't want to see our women nodding in disbelief, to be like,
Right.
okay.
Right. Well, let me break in for a second. Let me break in because this is such a fascinating story. And I think it really illustrates like the power of our alumni networks, because you basically went to Ghana, had an idea that you then shared with other people. Then with a little bit of funding from the US State Department, your idea became real and has now impacted the lives of women in many African countries. And so Person Point Africa is in Zimbabwe, but it has touched thousands of people's lives. That's amazing. And those are those alumni impact stories that are so inspiring. But you're talking about financial literacy, and I feel like I've heard that word a lot, but I'm not exactly sure what it means. Like, what is financial literacy? Why should we care? And why is it so important for women?
Okay, so financial literacy is about understanding the use, of different financial skills. It's about, your personal financial management, business financial management. It's about breaking down. It's about including the previously unbanked and making them banked. It's about explaining issues like spending, aspects of financial literacy like spending, like investing, like budgeting. I've always said that the worst thing that can ever happen to an entrepreneur is that they just have the ability to make the money without the corresponding ability to actually manage it. Financial literacy is about learning how to save, how to invest. We've heard other people saying, what, I can't even learn how to save. I'm in Africa and I'm not even making that much money. And we always say to them, what, savings is not a habit that you start when you have money. No. Savings is a habit. It gives you financial freedom. So the people that actually start off by winning the lottery or having a lot of money discover that they have to go back and learn the basics of financial literacy or the basics of savings so that they reduce the speed at which the money leaves their pockets or their businesses. Financial, in my view, it should actually be a human right. It should be taught to small children because everybody, we assume that if somebody achieves a certain level of education, then they can manage money. It's a different world. Money follows a different set of rules. It's a different world out there and more than a scholarly thing. So somebody needs to inculcate in themselves that habit of making wise financial and money decisions. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was going to say, but I know it's not easy to manage money. So what are some of the pain points that people face when they're dealing with their finances?
It's a lot. The first part, I've already spoken about it, the financial jargon. You know, finance, as it were, coming from the traditional, like your banks and everything, it's a bit exclusive. It excludes you because you get there, the language is just so, you know. The other day I was training these women, and somebody went to sign for a mortgage to help their husband. Said, we are buying a house in both of our names, come. And then she signed where it says witness. And that being a witness means you were just a bystander. You were watching the person actually buy. You are not a partaker, co-owner. So all those things need to be explained. Words like surety, to say that, no, if you become surety, it's like you also have taken the money, and if that person fails to pay, you'll be asked to pay. Those things, you know, financial ignorance, those are some of the pending businesses based on hunch, based on gut feeling, no record keeping, nothing. You go to an entrepreneur, there are no records, you know. There's assumption that, you know what, maybe people are stealing. But let me tell you something, you cannot accuse anyone of stealing if there are no records. If there are no records in your business, it's free for all. You cannot accuse, you cannot prove that somebody stole anything. So those are some of the pain points. Lack of savings, right? Too much debt, not knowing the difference between good debt and bad debt. You know, lack of, you know, income, you know, all of those things. Having like a bank teller in your business, so your job is just to count the money that is coming in, count the money that is going out. Right. You are not retaining anything. So basically, you're a cashier in your shop, you know. I always say to people, your business is making $5,000 and your expenses are $4,950. That's just too much money passing through your hands. That's only too much money passing through your hands. Under financial literacy, we're looking for high dollar retention. Make sure that some money isn't a cashier waiting to count 5,000 coming in, you know, 4,999 going out. You've only made 1 cent, you know, $1. So. Right. Yeah. No access to funding.
So, I just want to go back to something you said. You said there's a difference between good debt and bad debt. What is good debt?
Good debt is the debt that you actually spend on something that actually appreciates in value, that goes up in value. You know, you know, like buying a house, your education. That is good debt. You get value out of it. And that bad debt is debt spent on depreciating things. You see, like there's this, especially among the startups and among the you know, some entrepreneurs, you discover that there's always this pressure to be seen, to be making money. And people think that, you know, if I spend and I buy the latest this and I have the latest this, people will think my business is successful. And yet, under financial literacy, we say real money doesn't make noise unless it's coins, you know? And it's bad debt all the way. You buy depreciating assets, you buy assets that you buy things that are losing value, you're onto lifestyles, you know, even before the business grows, you can't even separate, you know, your business and your personal money. You don't want to even have a salary within that business because you just want to keep on borrowing from the business and not repaying.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, you know, and I'm glad to see that I actually do have some good debt. I've got some bad debt too, and I know I could use a lot more pointers from you. But I want to go back to this question. One of the things you talked about is like ignorance, people not knowing maybe what certain terms mean, or not knowing, like, you know, not knowing certain things. What I want from you now is some tips. You know, tell me, educate me, like, how do I become bankable? How does a person become bankable? Something that like bankers or a bank or any lending institution would find you attractive. What are the things that you need to know how to do?
Okay, so the first thing that I want the entrepreneurs that I tuned in today to know is that bankers and funders are in business. get that straight. When they look at you as they want to get their money back. So they are in business. Banks are in business of getting a profit. Donors are in business of getting impact, as much impact as they can get out of you. So bankers are looking for an idea which is practical and well researched, right? There are so many good ideas out there, but some of them are not useful, and bankers are not going to be interested, because the idea must be useful. There must be evidence of a high and increasing demand for your goods and your services. And one must be evidence of a paying customer, not just a customer who will come and look and then just go, but they want a paying customer. And there must be a very sharp competitive edge. Your strategy to beat the competition, your strategy to be different must be clear, it must be out there. The value proposition is your secret sauce. That thing, must be there and it must be out there. And another thing is that the entrepreneur needs to be skilled and knowledgeable in the particular field. Make sure that within your team, there is somebody who is knowledgeable, right? Because funders are comfortable, bankers are comfortable giving money to somebody who knows what they're doing, And the entrepreneur must have what I call business battleground scars. In the game, you must show that you have also put in your money there. Why do you expect banks to put in and become a major shareholder in your business? And when you don't want to put anything, you don't trust your business, but you want bankers to trust your business. They want to see your skin in that game as well. It shows the business must also be catalytic and it must be scalable. There must be a clear need being addressed. And bankers, let me tell you one tip. Bankers love diverse sources of income because it shows wider stakeholder, buy into your sustainability as well. And then the last thing that I want to hammer on is the budget. This is what sells most people out. When people come to ask for money from the bank, some of them will go to their friends and they write business plans for them, proposals for them, and then the budget always sells them out, because the budget and your business story must be married. What this means is that your budget is just your business story being reduced to figures and dollars and numbers. Your budget is saying something else and your story is saying something else. This is where we catch you and we're like, something is happening. There's some engineering going on in there. Some books are being cooked.
Those are great tips. We're running out of time, so I just wanted to ask, you help run the Academy for Women Entrepreneurs program in Zimbabwe. So you have a lot of practical teaching skills and mentorship skills. What are your top 3 tips for people to be more financially literate and savvy?
Okay, I think I'll just say the ones that come off my head. The first one is that you've probably heard of the words that don't be penny wise, pound foolish. Don't be the person with the great ideas when you're broke and then just prodigally spend, at the smell or the sight of money, Be as wise as you were when you had pennies as when you've got pounds. And then the second thing is that a business takes the personality of the owner. So in other words, that whatever we see in your business is as a result of what you do as an entrepreneur. So make sure you address your financial literacy issue. Management is on point so that you don't transmit bad attitudes in business. And then the last thing is that it is important to actually learn financial money management, even before you have money. Savings is not a habit that you start, when you have money, but it is a habit that you always have, because if you start off by having money, you'll need to go back. So financial literacy is an ongoing thing. Keep on, being abreast, live within your means. If the money is not there, it's not there. Don't try into dangerous and outrageous debt. It will always catch up with you, right? And don't forget that I said real money doesn't make noise unless it's coins. You don't have a point to prove to anyone. As an entrepreneur, work up the ladder, go up the ladder. You will get there one day. Start off, with the millions, by getting into unhealthy debt. Do it step by step. Thank you.
These are just
great
such great
advice, right, Amelia?
practical skills. Like, I feel like I'm a better person now today.
Me too.
And I have to.
I'm feeling actually a little bit financially literate.
I know.
I can't say it, but I feel it.
Yeah. No, and and it's funny. I never really knew what penny wise and pound foolish. I didn't really know what that meant. So now I do, and it makes perfect sense. Like, be smart when you don't have a lot of money. Be the same smart if suddenly you get like a windfall of cash. Like, don't suddenly go nuts. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So this has been so valuable for me. Thank you, Thube.
Welcome.
Yes. I'm sure it's valuable for our viewers too.
Yes, and please, I hope folks have been putting in comments and in the chat. I can't see the chat, but please tell us where you are and ask us some questions, because we're going to be in there.
With that, thank you very much, Thube, for joining us. And a big thank you to everyone who's tuned in. You can get more advice on advancing your career on our website at alumni.state.gov and catch more Mentor Talks on Facebook at International Exchange Alumni. If you're looking for job leads and career inspiration, follow us on LinkedIn at #ExchangeAlumni. And for the latest alumni news, join us on Twitter at ExchangeAlumni. Thanks for watching, and see you all soon for our next Mentor Talks.
Yay!
Bye, everyone.
Bye.